Peaky Blinders is a British television series set in the 1920s. It's a show about a family of gangsters called the Peaky Blinders making their way up in the streets of Birmingham. It's a series with great writing, nice artistic cinematography, and an amazing cast. But the main contributing factor to the show's success is its main character, Thomas Shelby. Thomas Shelby is a character who's smart, cold, and intimidating. A man who demonstrates confidence and is always in control. He is a man who always has a plan in the most desperate and dire of situations. But beneath that mask, he is a man with flaws. After coming back from the war, he was deeply scarred from the horror he had seen in France. Tommy was a clay kicker. Most people deem this to be one of the worst roles to have played in the war. A clay kicking team typically consists of 3 men, a kicker who worked at the front, a bagger who filled sandbags with the lumps of clay, and a trammer who transported the bags out. Tommy is an individual who's broken. An unread book locked away with the key thrown out, and the one person he could ever open up to took a bullet meant for him. The main gang is made up of 3 brothers, Arthur, the oldest, Tommy, the middle child, and John being the youngest. And Finn, but who gives a fuck about Finn? These 2 brothers' traits and personalities make Tommy appear that much more powerful when on screen with him. This makes his presence felt whenever he's in a scene. Where Arthur is hot-headed and rash, Tommy is calm and calculated. Where John is easily manipulated and controlled, Tommy is manipulative and controlling. Every character's weakness is contrasted with one of Tommy's strengths. A great example of this being the scene where Tommy's fixing a race without first consulting with Arthur about it. In this scene, he perfectly displays how he's more calm and calculated than Arthur. Arthur tries to dominate the conversation by being anger-filled and loud, while Tommy is well-spoken and has panned out how he will be able to override any conflicting opinions that Arthur has to throw at him. At the start of the show, I was pretty unaware who the boss was at the beginning. But after I saw the scene, I kinda got to understand actually who the boss really was. You can tell Tommy's the top dog in this scene through his constant eye contact with his elder brother. However, Arthur is constantly fidgeting and looking away, showing him being dismissive of what Tommy has to say. People tend to look away when they don't like what they hear. Even though Arthur is the oldest of the 3, Tommy demonstrates his maturity by distinguishing Arthur's heated argument to fixing up the race. Tommy does this by staying so calm and calculated in the conversation, displaying early on in the first episode how he's able to talk himself out of any situation so well. In season 1, when the gang isn't as notorious as later seasons and is still just a petty street gang with some muscle, Tommy, now trying to fix races, has caught the attention of Billy Kimber, who himself is in charge of the races. Tommy, trying to cover new ground and make a name for himself, plans for this in order to lure him out into meeting. Tommy in this scene shows the audience just exactly why he deserves respect and to be the main protagonist of the show. Tommy in this whole scene has unbroken eye contact with Kimber and is completely unresponsive to this antagonizing remark.
But then you fucked me over, so now you have my undivided attention. By the way, which one am I talking to? Who's the boss?
Kimber, now becoming impatient with the 3 brothers, starts pointing his finger at the boys, which in body language is a huge sign of disrespect. Tommy, still keeping composed, is completely unfazed by any of Billy's aggressiveness and cuts straight to the point.
I want to know what you want.
Then, poking back at Kimber by asking the advisor,
Which one am I talking to? Which one of you is the boss?
Kimber becomes more aggravated, now standing and shouting.
And I'm the fucking boss, okay? Right, end of parley. You fixed the race without my permission. You fucking gypsy scum.
Now, look how undaunted Tommy is, with still keeping the strong eye contact while his brothers are looking down and away. This goes completely to plan, as Tommy is trying to get a reaction out of him, trying to make a read of what he's dealing with. Now, Tommy, knowing what Kimber is actually like, makes a proposition to Kimber. The proposition is that because Tommy and Kimber are both at war with the Lees, he can use his men at Kimber's races as protection, as a way to become allies with Kimber. Then, after this, as we see later on, he will use John as a way to make peace with the Lees, using both the blinders and leads to take down Kimber. That also shows how John is submissive and Tommy is manipulative, as I stated previously. Tommy then appeals to Kimber, almost kissing up to him, making it seem as if he would be beneath him in the partnership and Kimber would be running it. Now Kimber, with the biggest sign of disrespect, wants Tommy to pick the coin up off the floor in front of his own brothers in his own bar in his own city. Tommy, committing to the facade, goes to pick it up, which then gets a reaction out of John, wanting to pick it up for him because Tommy shouldn't have to do that because he is the leader and heart of the family. Then, ordering John to sit, Tommy picks up the coin and cheerfully exclaims, "Thank you" to Mr. Kimber, and scene ends. This is a perfect way to show how smart Tommy is and how he can fake roles and gain people's trust by carefully selecting his words and appealing to the personalities of the people he's dealing with. In doing this, he makes himself one step closer to betraying Kimber and meeting his end goal of overthrowing him and taking the races for himself and the blinders. I think through watching this video and my last, you can tell exactly what characters I am into. I love a character who is broken inside and dealing with built-up trauma and constantly at war with his own mental health, but keeps striving on for the good of his people. Thomas Shelby is the embodiment of this type of character. Thomas Shelby is a man who keeps himself occupied and constantly moving. This is so his mind has no time to rest, so it can't think about all the trauma and horror he went through in France. He is a damaged mind that keeps himself busy even when he mentally can't keep going. He is a person trapped in his own head with no escape, and the one escape he did have was in Grace, who is now dead. Once Tommy has everything and nothing more to conquer or achieve, he will have no purpose and no reason to go on. He's a conflicted person who puts his family first, but to achieve his mission, he doesn't care if he has to put them at risk. He's a selfless yet selfish character because he will do anything for his family, but also anything to prove himself and grow his name and stature. During the series, we are so used to seeing Tommy overcome the villains of that season. However, in season 5, nothing goes to plan. Barney gets killed trying to kill Mosley, as well as Arthur almost being killed too. Tommy, after seeing this all unfold, goes into hysterics, kicking and screaming, talking to himself, shouting, and constantly saying the same things over and over, thinking of who betrayed him, and how one of the great Tommy Shelby plans finally failed. Season 5 is the decline of the great Thomas Shelby. The season starts with him being in an extremely bad mindset, contemplating suicide and even seeing his dead wife's ghost. Charlie, his own son, even resents him for being a killer. He's constantly looking more like a hollow shell of himself and looks like he's on the brink of losing his own mind. Now, cut to the end of the last episode and he's just failed at killing the most evil, cunning man he's ever met. And after saying he'll stop when he finds a man who he can't defeat, I think he never thought it would be Mosley and didn't know it would be so soon. Tommy keeps saying over and over, this is because he truly believes that he can defeat anyone, and this makes no sense that the Tommy Shelby has been bested. Not even by Mosley either, but a third party that knew everything and was working in the background the whole time while he orchestrated this whole entire plan. The final scene of Grace saying that the work is all done and it's so easy, so soft, is shown with Tommy now screaming in a fit of rage, depression, and confusion. He's now seriously considering if he should now pull the trigger since he's failed. Season 5 then ends with a horrifying scream filled with such emotion.
Such a small change.
Season 6 is coming out soon and I hope it wraps up the show nicely. I hope that if they do bring Hitler into the show or do a time jump closer to the Nazi party being formed, that either Tommy dies fighting or they pull a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and change history for the show's timeline. Making Tommy stop World War II or making him go out guns blazing in a huge gunfight would be my ideal ending. To be honest, I don't see Tommy making it out of the show retiring or alive, because if he was alive, he would do anything in his power to make sure no one has to suffer the way in which he suffered in World War I.